Hello there, this is ETV Special Edition and I'm Sintayo Tamrat with this edition. With this edition, I'll try to focus on the Ethio-US ties. Ethiopia and the United States of America have enjoyed century-old diplomatic ties. However, over the past couple of years, these diplomatic ties has been on crossroads. But previously, they were in good shape in terms of diplomacy, politics, trade, education, health, agriculture, military, fighting terrorism, and many more. And my guest today is Roba Petros, Dean of Law College at Dredaw University. Thank you so much, Roba Petros, for joining me.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy for having me.
Well, so as I mentioned so far, Ethiopia and the United States of America have enjoyed century-old diplomatic ties, but it has been at crossroads over the past 2 years. And what is your take on that?
The Ethio-American diplomatic relationship is not as young diplomatic relationship like another African country. It's like it started, I think so, if I'm not mistaken, in 1903. So it is the oldest one in Africa, since Ethiopia is the founder and the father of many international organizations. So there is nowhere where Ethiopia is not. Ethiopia is everywhere in the international affairs, international organizations, international politics, and also international peace and security affairs. So where there is such congregation or such forum, Ethiopia is there. So it's not surprise if somebody say that Ethiopia is the leading country in the Horn of Africa, even in the continent of Africa. So such diplomatic relationship is not a new thing for Ethiopia, though there is fluctuation with the change of the regimes. And also, even it's not stopped anywhere, but regime change may change the dynamics of the relationship between the regime existed in the power and also in America. I can mention some example for you. As I've said before, the relationship was started during the Menelik era, that means 1903. There was a good move at that time. Even we can remember that Ethiopian Air Force was bolstered with some aid that comes from America. We can mention the name of the first person, person who came to Ethiopia. I think Robinson, or just like the name is like that. And also, especially during the reign of Haile Selassie, the relationship was very fantastic. Even some crew member of Americans named with the name Peace Corps, they come to Ethiopia to and engage in some affairs like education, basic education, and training, and also some youth development affairs. And also after Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie, and the American presidents met at Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. So they tied some military assistance. They decreased some mutual military assistance. So that was very good in Ethiopian history. But this relationship has changed during the Derg regime because of the change in political ideology. And at that time there was a move, there is a revival spirit of communists in the world. So the communist parties and the countries, they were striving to make communism international political ideology. Therefore, the move of Derg parties or the Derg regime towards such kinds of spirit make America angry at Ethiopia. Though America is never tired with such kinds of affairs with regarding Ethiopian politics, since Ethiopia found in a very strategic geopolitical situation. And American Pentagon also needs the black sites to counter terrorism and some elephants in the room. So Ethiopia is the key area for Americans. Therefore, it's not a mere gift of America, but it is a mutual or strategic alliance that lead to countries.
say about the recent status of diplomatic ties between the two?
Yeah, as I've said before, the relationship between Ethiopia and America or United States is the relationship that established on strategic alliance. That means there is something that what they need from us, and also we need something from them. I say this because of the geopolitics of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is in the heart of the natural resource. We know that water is there, Barbara Port is there, in Djibouti water is there, and also Red Sea is there, and also natural resource is there. America needs to have some ground in this area. Whether we like or not, the world is now shaking with two things. One is the political dynamics of the world. It is going to shift from unipolar to multipolar. Understand? So, and also there is another problem in the world, which I have said before, that elephant in the room is about the war on global terrorism. To bring global peace, alliance, creating alliance or bolstering such diplomatic relationship is not the issue of something what we have to do, but it is the issue of it's obligatory for me. So the recent travel of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed to United States of America, it erased the bad image that international organization and some countries, especially the Western countries, have toward Ethiopia. Look, Ethiopia was striving with its own problem. So to enforce the rule of law in the country, every country did what Ethiopia have done. Understand? So, but the image, especially, this is the era of digital diplomacy. Fake news prevail over even the truth nowadays. Therefore, to rectify such bad image toward Ethiopian political affairs, Ethiopian economic affairs, such travel has an immense benefit for Ethiopia. As I've said before, such relationship create the link between Ethiopia and some international organization. Those has history for having giving aid for Ethiopia, like IMF and also some Western countries. America also the largest donor for Ethiopia with regarding development, poverty eradication, and also with regarding the human rights affairs. Though their institution like Human Rights Watch has some agenda behind the veil after their aids, it's expected from the Ethiopian government to keep such balance, to create some doctrine of balance, how to mitigate the influence of such intervention, and how to proceed with some peaceful diplomatic relationship. So it's expected from this means we have to know our internal weakness, and also we have to know our external fears, the potential fear that we have. That's why I say that it's expected from us to create the doctrine of balance.
Well, the U.S. has been just criticized for unilateralism toward these sovereign countries. So, what sort of foreign policy behavior should the U.S. take towards Ethiopia?
Yeah, there is some statement which Antonio Blinken said during the travel of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed. Antonio Blinken said that such relationship, Africa and America relationship, is not to make Africa subject of geopolitics. Rather, such relationship should be mutual, for mutual understanding and to give some assistance. Africa need help, but Africans know what to do. Previous politicians, they believe that Africa cannot do about what they need. Africa has power. Africa has human power, resource. Africa need help, but Africans know what they do. So such spirit of relationship should established or based on such kinds of philosophy. Unless and otherwise, calling Africa leaders to the international with empty of table without any agenda, without any agenda, only to exert their pressure is not good for today, because as I've said before, the world is going to shift from unipolar to multipolar. There are a lot of opportunities for Ethiopia and for Africa even. Since we have resource, Ethiopia is the second populous country in population, I think, in Africa, next to Nigeria. So, with regarding foreign relationship, the thing that expected to be a greater nation is one is the size of the land and the population size. Another is economic strength. So Ethiopia has a resource, that means human capital is there. So in order to use that human capital, foreign direct investment and any international relationship, that means any strategic relationship, should maintain and respect these views, these issues. Unless and otherwise, there are a lot of opportunity. That's what was mentioned by Antonio Blinken is a governing point. That means Africa, the relationship should not to make Africa subject to the Western or any geopolitical affairs. Rather, the relationship should to maintain the bilateral economic affairs and political affairs too.
And what is your suggestion toward this improving foreign policy behavior of the United States towards Africa?
Definitely, in our today's world, the issue that comes after such relationship is about sovereignty. Such intervention infringe or disgrace or disregard the sovereignty of the country. Unless and otherwise, the policymakers, the lawyers, and diplomats are very conscious with regarding this issue. Ethiopia has the power to maintain its sovereignty with regarding international relationship. I have a reason to say this. In September 2020, during the Trump regime, America put partially some pressure and sanction on Ethiopia with regarding the dialogue on Renaissance Dam in favor of Egypt and Sudan. Sure. Exactly. Ethiopia escaped from the danger not with the mercy of that regime, but because of the confidence of the administration. That means the new administration, the Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed remained deaf with regarding such yelling and such yowing for creating some conflict in the Horn of Africa. So such intervention should be avoided by diplomatic relationship, people-to-people relationship. My message for diaspora is not, my message for diaspora is not to take side with the power that going to distract the country's sovereignty. Rather, they have to be a watchman for the sovereignty of their country. Understand? Nowadays, we are observing many aspects with regarding sovereignty in African country. De facto sovereignty is there, having power with military power. That is a bad culture of Africans. In order to compete with the new world order nowadays at international forum, we have to create a very wonderful political bedrock on which the winning ideas and the take power and ensure peace infrastructure for the next generation. So in such circumstance, we can escape the danger that may inflicted upon us from those big brother, from the developing nation. So having a very conscious diplomat and a foreign relation policy and a strong legal bedrock is a medicine for the virus that comes through in the name of aiding and abetting. So this is my view with regarding such international intervention with regarding the sovereignty of the country.
Following just the conflict between the federal government of Ethiopia and the TPLF forces that is back in 2020, the diplomatic ties between Ethiopia and certain EU countries hasn't been in good shape as well. So what should Ethiopia do in order to restore that diplomatic ties to previous level without compromising the sovereignty and national interest of the country?
Yeah, the first thing that the policymakers, the politicians, the national elites, diaspora have to do is having patriotic mentality. If you love your country, you don't worry about the word that may inflicted from others. We can rectify such kinds of bad image relationship through digital diplomacy, and also by creating some peace infrastructure internally. Understand? The Tigrayan force are our brothers. We are Ethiopians. We all are Ethiopian. The issue is our own affairs. Rather than blaming and shaming each other, we have to sit on the table and make our problem clear, put on the table, and then dialogue over it. We can resolve any conflict. We can resolve such historically dividing narratives. The problem of Ethiopia is not about the war. The problem of Ethiopian politics is the unrectified, divergent narrative that is invoked by the political elite for their own sake. And also the conflict entrepreneurs also love those controversial legacies. So if we sit together, bring those controversial issues on the table, we can rectify. With regarding the European country and the Western country, the whole, they move toward their interest, their national interest. America is America in the case of their own national interest. Without their national interest, they don't like to do anything. And we are Ethiopian. We have to know first our national interest. What is our national interest? So it is a matter of time. They understand the truth. They know the truth. They know the truth. They didn't believe what was spread over the social media, but they did that. They moved toward the sanction affairs, not for they know the truth, but they deceived by the force. They know the truth. So we have to stay with the truth. We have to show them the truth. Especially my message for diplomatic crews is not something new. We always hear from many medias. They have to know what they do from abroad. Understand? If he delegated in a Europe country, he go there with the flag of Ethiopia, with the national interest of Ethiopia, with the ambition and the needs of Ethiopian people. So he is there to ensure our interests. So if we have the truth prevail. If we are wise, we can prevail. If we agreed with our resolved dispute in our home, we can prevail at international stage. Now the problem is not about the foreign intervention. The problem is about the national elites with regarding such divergent views and narrative. So this is my view with regarding such affairs.
The peace accord between the federal government of Ethiopia and the TPLF forces has been on implementation phase. And what measures, precautionary measures should both parties take in order for the peace accord be fruitful?
As a peace professional, what I would like to inform both parties is they have to know the room in which the peace spoiler get hostage. Always peace spoiler is there where there is peace accord. Peace accord is good by its own, but peace spoiler are there always where there is peace. That means on the side of Tigrayan force, And on the side of federal government, there are some individuals or groups that may not know about the what's expected and who love the conflict itself, especially those individuals who are busy with taking corruption or making such grand corruption, who are stealing the government budget. They don't like peace. Therefore, they are busy to create some obstacle over the peace infrastructure, which is started nowadays between the two forces. Therefore, one is that. Two is they have to work. The community should aware this clearly. The third one is the platform for reintegrating, re-establishing some development affairs on those conflict-prone area should be immediate. Later, otherwise, frustration may be created in the heart of those community. And also they may become the hostage for some new cycle of conflict. Therefore, this is what is expected from the two.
And now Ethiopia is on peace-building process. And what should Ethiopian political actors, major political actors, need to do in order for the country to enjoy lasting peace?
The good news that from the side of Gambella, Liberation Fronts, and other faction armed groups, is a good news for Ethiopian peace-building process. And also the peace talk, as we have said before, between the TPLF and the federal government also is a new beginning for the starting of the work of peace building in Ethiopia. Now the problem, the headache for the peace process, the national dialogue of Ethiopia is the issue that dealing with OLF armed groups. I have a message for both government, both the government side, for the government side, and for the armed groups too. My message is that when two elephants quarrel, it is the grass that's affected. No winner is there where brother quarrel. Where in the fight between brothers, there is no winner. Win-win solution, that means having agenda and coming to the table is the best solution for lasting peace. Therefore, my message for armed group is they have to aware these truths and come to the bench and bring their ideas, their views on the table, and then deal with the government delegates. And the government also have to make open its door for anybody who has grievance on Ethiopian political affairs. Therefore, in such circumstances, we can save our time, we can save our economy. Unless and otherwise, the cycle of conflict will continue. This is the challenge for the upcoming national dialogue. National dialogue is inclusive when it embraces any grieved groups. If they are grieved with anything with regarding Ethiopian political discourse, they have to come to the table rather than believing that peace will come in the mouth of the gun, through the mouth of the gun. Peace comes through mutual understanding, through dialogue, and the related aspects. Unless and otherwise, we are going to collapse as a nation.
Thank you so much, Robert Petros, Dean of Law College here at Dredwa University, for sharing your views into the Ethio-US ties as well as the peace accord implementation and sustaining peace in Ethiopia, or just bringing peace, lasting peace in Ethiopia.
Thank you, dear. I'm very happy for having me.
Dear viewers, this winds up today's discussion on ETV Special Edition, and I'm Santayo Tamrat with this edition. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you another time.